Okay, good morning once again. We're continuing with our Garden of Peace book. Yesterday we discussed how it's very important to continue with making sure that your wife is number one. And he even brought a little bit of a very strange case that what? That even if you see your wife doing something not so appropriate with the kids, she's, screaming at them, she even patched them, so on and so forth. He said, what? Don't say anything. Don't say anything. He says later on, go to the kids and say, it's important to respect your mom. Look how much she does for us, this and that. I thought he was going to say later on, go to the wife and say, why'd you do that? It's not proper. No. He says, don't mention anything to her. Instead, go build up the kids. Tell them it's okay. She loves you. She's doing this from love and so on and so forth. Yeah, even though it looks like she's maybe not doing the right thing. Just don't comment. Today, he says, the compassionate father. He says a father is the role model for his children. His greatest influence on them is by his personal example. When the father demonstrates outstanding character traits like compassion and patience and forgiveness and humility and the love of peace, then the children will follow suit. Meaning, children are going to see this in the house. Unfortunately, how we grew up, we saw that father, burqa, yeah, you see me, do this, do that. We saw sometimes the father not speaking respectfully to the mother. We did. I'm not going to say not, yeah. And therefore, what did we do? We mimicked those actions. And since we mimic those actions, we have major shlom bayit problems now. Why? Burqa, she kept her mouth shut. Yeah. But, Cindy, or whatever her name is now, Sarah, she's not going to keep her mouth shut because this is the new generation. That's why he says, when we model these certain character traits to our kids, guess what? The kids are going to do exactly the same thing to their wives in the future. You hear? And that's why we have this escalator down business. Why? Because we saw not such good, exactly. No, we didn't see good behavior examples in our home. We didn't. But we thought it was good. Why? My father did it. You hear? And therefore we do the same exact thing. And that's why we're in big problems. That's why he says you have to demonstrate all these characteristics in front of your kids. This way they can mirror you. In those unfortunate homes where a father yells, threatens, and hits.
Not only that. Abba said something, Ima took it, she didn't answer back. Now his wife will answer back to him.
Yeah.
He's like, she's crazy.
Opa, you hear? Huh? Different twist. Meaning in your house you saw the father going crazy and the wife didn't say anything. Now in your house you think you can go crazy and your wife is not going to say something, she does. And now you think, where's she coming from? That's not how a woman should be, kilu, because all you saw is what? You saw the opposite at home. So he says, in those unfortunate homes where the father yells, threatens, and hits, the children's souls suffer inestimable damage. On the other hand, when the mother is the one with the short fuse, the damage to the children is much less. Interesting, look what he says. He says, when the father does it, it's, big at it. When the mother, it's okay. Meaning it's not that bad. So the children know that behind the shrill voice is a mother's heart. You hear? Because at the end of the day, what does she do? She does so much for them. You hear? So she's a little bit whatever, but at the end of the day, though, the husband that elevates his wife to the first place in his life is also a compassionate father. A wife who feels that she's first place in her husband's eyes and whose life is free of criticism and comments becomes a calm, content mother that will rarely raise her voice against her children. Here, if he makes her happy by doing this to her, number one, no comments, no criticism, no nothing, she's calm, she's mabsut, she has no.
That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly. A big savings. Once again, we see that the husband's small investment of giving to his wife is a big savings in terms of the time and effort that restoring her trust and self-composure would require. If you would have done otherwise, small investment, you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to reinvest in trying to make her, trust you and love you and, have that bond again. Life's test in general and marital challenges in particular behoove a husband to avoid instinctive reactions, which often are impulsive and erroneous. Here he says, when a husband considers his wife before he considers himself, he becomes a winner on two accounts. First, he neutralizes the Yetzer Hara, who tries everything to upset the peace at home. Second, he gives his wife the feeling that she's first place. That alone will save him untold tribulations and difficulties. He's talking like this. A lot of times, because of the challenges in life we have, we spontaneously react. And a lot of time it's an overreaction reaction. You hear? So he's got to be careful of that. Because, those overreactions and spontaneous, answers are the ones that get us in most trouble. That's why he says you have to be relaxed, calm. If you put her in first place this way, you're not going to have those. Why? You're going to understand that, no problem. What do you need? You got it. Okay, no problem. Yeah? He says each point of implementation requires much prayer. Again, he says, how many times did he say prayer? Pray that she accepts my etah. Pray that I'll be. Yeah. Therefore, a husband would be best advised to devote a few minutes of his daily personal prayers of asking Hashem to help his wife truly feel like she's first place in his life. Yeah. Not only do you have to do the action, you have to ask Hashem, please let her feel that she's number one. Yeah. He says, stepchildren. There are situations where a husband's children from a former marriage come to live with him. The husband often perceives that every remark, criticism, and complaint that his wife makes about his children are unfounded, since they are not her children. She resents them, she dislikes them, and the like. Meaning, when he brings other children, everything she says about them, he thinks, what? Oh, since it's not her children, she's kind of sliding them, yeah? He says this is a mistake. Her grievance is not against them, but against the fancy that they're more important to him than she is. His actions show that he loves them more than he loves her. She therefore feels threatened, insecure, and on edge, especially in the company of these children with whom she has to compete for his love. Crazy. And not only that, but even with your own children, as he mentioned, sometimes.
He says against the birds the wife reacts.
Yeah?
How much more?
Yeah? He says, by making her first place, he once again saves him tons of headaches and heartache and constant strife in the home. Meaning, he says, at the end of the day, everything points to him. Not his kids. She doesn't mind about it. But since you're going to think they're a little bit more important, now she has to... Competition over here, competition. So I got to win them, and therefore, And therefore, like he says over here, your partner, your job, your rabbi, everybody is against her. She's competing to get a piece of everybody. Yeah? He says livelihood. Another example of a test of whether a man's wife is really first place in his life is the area of livelihood. Our sages said that a man must spend more on his wife than he can afford. If a husband has arguments with his wife about money and spending, he should ask himself if she's really number one in his life, more than his money or anything else. Yeah? Because if I'm making a little bit more, is my wife more important to me than a job? Therefore, anytime she asks for money, he should give it to her willingly. For it's his responsibility, according to the Torah, not only to provide for her, but to make her happy. She'll be happy as soon as she feels first place in life. What about a career? A well-known performer who was working on an exciting new project encountered a major domestic crisis at home with his wife. She had the impression that the project was more important to him than she was. She became his fiercest opponent, yelling at him and hindering all his efforts. The entire household turned into a battleground. A lot of times, a person, let's say he has a new business, right? He's opening up a new business. How many hours does he have to invest in that? Yeah, whatever business it is, dental office, grocery store, restaurant, so many. So now she thinks, he used to come home at 7 o'clock. Now he comes home 9, 10 o'clock. He used to be off on, Sunday and Thursday. Now he's working all these days. You see, so what happens? All of a sudden, this job took the place of her. So the performer came to me and he spilled his heart out. I taught him the principle of first place and advised him to convince his wife that the entire project isn't worth 1 minute of her happiness. He says the performer did a wonderful job of implementing my advice. Before long, his wife was urging him to complete the project. Davai, davai, go. She became his biggest fan. Here, no comparison. A woman's biggest rival is any other woman. A husband must therefore be careful to avoid mentioning the names of other women to her. Oh, we fall in that all the time. By praising another woman, even his mother or his sister, he's destroying his relationship with his wife with his own two hands. Oh, my mother's a what? So that's it, finished. He says comparing your wife with any other woman is disastrous. Yeah, especially mother. Especially mother. Your mother? Never ever say anything to your wife. Never, ever.
I'm saying the worst thing to say is you don't cook like my mom, right?
Oh, why? That's it. You're gonna be foodless. 2 weeks? Maybe 20 years. I don't know. He says comparing your wife with any other woman is disastrous. Even if a husband does so innocently, he's still pushing his wife out of the number one slot in his life. A wife can't stand when a husband praises his mother's cooking. Anna, your words. His sister's orderliness, or the neighbor's patience with her children. If you tell her, wow, this orsho was so delicious, you're telling her it's delicious, just like my mom's, you finished over there. You know why?
Your sister or to her wife?
No, you tell to your wife that, wow, you're telling the, wow, the orsho,
Like
wow,
my mother's.
it's very good. Like my mother's. That's it. You know what you just did there? You mentioned that your mother's is very good, and today hers is like your mother's. She doesn't want to hear your mother ever. Never.
What if you said, wow, you're the best, even better than my mom?
No. Leave the mother out. Leave the mother out. You, mamash, kaif. He says, the worst thing a husband can do is to give a wife the feeling that she's competing for her husband's love and or admiration. No matter what the competition is, her soul thrives when she's first place in his eyes. Second place and bottom rung of the ladder are the same thing. You hear what he's saying? Yeah. Second place and the bottom place, same thing to her. He shouldn't even compare her to her own mother. To her own mother you can compare. Wow, your mother does good manti, but says, whom she loves with all her heart. It goes without saying that he shouldn't compare her to his mother. Again, second time he said that. Heaven forbid. He says, God forbid. As soon as he compares her to any other woman, she'll hate that woman. So, yeah. So if a husband wants his wife to get along with his mother, he should show her that he loves her, meaning the wife, more than he loves his own mother. Yeah. You have to show the wife, you love the wife more than you love your mother. Yeah, of course. Everything we're saying has to be genuine. But we start with non-genuine in order to be genuine. You cannot be, you hear what I'm saying? He says, guarding one's eyes. Oh, this one is a big one. He says, guarding one's eyes mean that a husband should refrain from looking at any other woman. This is essential if a husband truly desires to make his wife first place in his life. For if he looks at another woman, he arouses his natural male drives. You hear? Mr. Roberts, when a man looks at another woman, he arouses his natural male drives. Each one of us has a male drive. Yeah?
Has to be directed towards her.
He says the moment he covets another woman, his wife no longer is first place in his life and trouble starts. You know how? Automatically, Mr. Roberts. Automatically. Meaning you're not telling her. No, you're just looking, in Manhattan. She's at home in Queens. Yeah? And all of a sudden what happens? You're like, waja. The little heart gets a little bit whatever. And then she automatically falls from the first place. Kilu, spiritually already you collected it. And here become the problems.
The man, the moment he get married to his wife, he's supposed to shut off his feeling to everything.
Absolutely. Only to her.
Automatically.
Yeah. He says, if a husband's looking at other
Not
women,
feeling anymore.
listen, if a husband's looking at other women is bad, then looking at other women when he's with his wife is catastrophic. Yeah? He says, when you're not with your wife, it's bad to look. Bad, because that's going to create a, he already said it several times. He says, when you're with the wife and you look at the woman accidentally, that's it, he says. Catastrophic. Few things are more insulting to a wife than when her husband sets his eyes on another woman. One woman told me that as soon as she caught her husband looking at other women, a demon-like feeling of competition penetrated her heart. Yo, my yo. Yeah? Instead of devoting her spare time to spiritual development, personal prayer, Torah learning, she began spending hours in front of the mirror. Her life became bitter and she wanted a divorce. Yeah? Because he saw the husband looking at another woman. And with all the fake lashes and all the puffed out lips, we sometimes don't look because it's interesting. It's like, what kind of monster is that? Yeah? So then all of a sudden, but she doesn't know that. She thinks you're looking because you like, so she starts making herself makeup and this and that. You hear? The husband who lets his eyes wander destroys his marriage with his own two hands. Instead of being a heaven of peace, and blessing, his home becomes a warehouse of materialism. His wife demands outrageous sums of cosmetics, beauty creams, clothes, shoes. As the rabbi said, 50 shoes, 100 shoes. The list goes on and on. Oftentimes, she contaminates herself with trashy books and magazines. She acts compulsively and irrationally to her struggle to look more beautiful. Inside, though, she feels dejected and ugly. You hear? She's doing all of this, buying that, makeup and facials and everything. Husbands who complain to me that they don't love their wives are surely looking at the woman. That's why their hearts stray from their wives. Keeping in mind the importance of making one's wife first place, woman gazing becomes a criminal act. For the wife of a woman gazer can never be first place in her husband's wandering eyes. The only way a husband can preserve his love for his wife is by guarding his eyes from looking at any other woman. You hear? So one of the major problems is right here. The two focal points in our face.
And please tell me, is it possible not to look when we don't have good filters in the phones?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, filters are very important on the phone. Very important on the phone. Yes, we are Bezrat Hashem. We're going to each work on that.
למה לא עשו הקדוש ברוך הוא למן? מוצל סוס, שלא יראה שום דבר מהצד, שלא יראה שום דבר פה.
So you could do that. Baba Sali had a little thingy, so you could walk like Baba Sali if you want.
Everybody should have this.
Yes, absolutely. He says a husband who guards his eyes and preserves his gaze for only his wife can reach a spiritual level where his wife actually appears to be stunningly beautiful, even though on a physical level she might even be homely. Such a husband can tell his wife that she's gorgeous, truthfully so. By looking at her only, his true soulmate, the husband sees the exquisite radiance of her soul that was meant for his eyes only. At the end of the day, we're one soul. Yeah? And why is it that sometimes we look at our wife and we think she's ugly? Because we're looking out and we have a completely different understanding of what is real. So he says, when you don't look, even if your wife is not a good looking girl, he says she's gonna look gorgeous in your eyes. And when you say, wow, Motek, you're so beautiful, it's like you're gonna really mean it. Because you're gonna see the true radiance from inside of her. With prayer and effort, a husband can reach such a spiritual level where his wife is both first place and beautiful in his carefully guarded eyes. Yes, so very important that we guard our eyes. It's tremendous. Walking in the door, he says a rule of thumb. A rule of thumb in spirituality says that everything goes according to the beginning. That's why a husband first step inside the door after a long and difficult day at work plays a key role in marital bliss. Yeah? This is an ideal time to show a wife that she's first place in her husband's eyes. Even if the children greet him at the door, his first question should be, where's Ima? Where's Ima? Yeah? All the kids like, oh, Abba, what's up? Like, no, where's Ima? Yeah.
Wow.
A husband's greeting to his wife should be loving, animated, and flavored with sweet words to show her how happy he is to come home to her. He should first inquire how she's feeling and how her day went. This must show, must show his genuine concern for her welfare, putting on his own selfish needs aside and devoting his attention to her when he first walks into the door, scores a major point in Shalom Bayit. Unfortunately, what happened to us? We're very tired. We didn't eat lunch. We're drenched. We come in, sweetie, what's to eat? What's to eat? Look, he doesn't care. He thinks I'm his maid. I think that. What's that?
Is that really how all women like feel?
Yeah. Whatever he's saying, every woman feel this way.
Yeah.
Every woman, unless she's not normal or special, extraneous cases. But standard operating procedure, this is what it is. So he says, when you're going to come home, sometimes we men, we call, hey, sweetie, how are you? How's everything? What did you cook? You know what she thinks? He only called me because he cooked. What do I cook? What did I cook? I didn't cook anything. And she did. She said, I didn't cook anything. Why? Because they want to be the center of everything. Center of attention, center of his mind, center of and he says it. When you come in, hi, sweetie, how are you? Wow, you look beautiful. How's your day? Yeah, this, that, He says, a woman thrives on sharing her life with her husband. She loves to tell him everything that happened to her during the day, the time they were apart. The husband should listen with intent to what she's saying. Do you think we have patience for that? You think we even have time for that? You think we have the strength for that? We already hold all of our customers and customers. We need to hear her say, when I got this call from somebody and this guy, and you gotta sit there, oh wow, yeah. The minute she sees you straying your attention a little bit away, that you don't care about me. You don't care about me. You think I'm this, that. I didn't say anything. I'm here with you. Yet, even if it seems trivial and unimportant to him, he should listen. That gives her the wonderful feeling that she can tell her husband anything. Therefore, if a husband criticizes her in any way, it is as if he's breached her trust. She doesn't open her heart for the purposes of her husband to stick a knife in it. Yeah, now, if you don't listen to her or if you comment on her, you know what she's thinking? Oh, I tell him something like this, and he turns everything around. So it's like he's sticking a knife in her heart. So she's not going to tell him anything. Yeah, by letting her pour her heart out, the wise husband saved her from telling gossip and slander to her girlfriends. I remember Rabbi Chaim, you know what he said? He said, there's no such thing as lashon hara between you and your wife. Right? Rabbi, he said that. Let her say whatever she wants. Meaning, she's going to be like,
You cannot tell lashon hara to your wife. She can.
A man has to be a sergeant. She let her do whatever she wants. So he says, and even if she's speaking gossip and slander, Anna, we just said it, about other people to her husband, he should filter them in his heart and refrain from reprimanding her. Meaning in his heart, he shouldn't take it seriously. Yes, so, this guy, he's like this, this woman, this, that. In his heart, say, okay, So he should say, I don't believe it. Not that I don't believe it. I'm not going to accept that lashon hara. But don't say anything to her. Let her speak. Let her get it out of her system, and have a whatchamacallit. Amish like that, yeah.
And this guy comes and says, hey, hello, Chafetz Chaim book.
No,
I don't want to hear it.
Chafetz Chaim book.
that's it.
Why? She's going to hate the Torah, the Chafetz Chaim. Huh? Because...
She needs it.
I'll tell you a story, okay? How important it is. How to make a wife feel that she is the most important person on earth. I have a friend, his name is Broide. His uncle was the Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron, Rav Simcha Zisser Broide. His father, my friend's father, the brothers, he was a Dayan with Chacham Ovadia when Chacham Ovadia was in Petach Tikva, years ago. So the brother, the Rosh Yeshiva, he lives on the 4th floor, no elevator, and he has a heart problem. Now he goes down, right? It's taking like 10 minutes until he go downstairs because he needs to breathe. He has a driver, a Sfaradi, Moroccan. They have a temper. So one day he takes the Rosh Yeshiva down. Now for him to go up, at least will take 20 minutes.
Wow.
At least, because he cannot. He's not well. One time he gets into his car. Pitom the Rosh Yeshiva said, "Oh, I forgot something. I have to go upstairs." He said, "Ibi, now 20 minutes, and another 10 minutes, half an hour, we're going to be over here." He said, "The Rosh Yeshiva should tell me what, I'll bring it." He said, you don't know what it is. I have to go by myself. He said, "You tell me what it is. I know the house. I know. Just tell me which book, what shelf, I'll find it." He said, "Take me upstairs." Okay. He scans the shower, flat, slowly, they're going up. And the Rosh Yeshiva finally got up. And he opened up the door. And the Moroccan guy, he wants to see
What's so important?
What's so important? Pitom he says, he goes to the kitchen, he says, "Brachale, I forgot to tell you that I have to leave to the yeshiva. And so you have to be moichel me. Mechila, I didn't tell you that I have to leave." Like, where can he go already? Where can he go? So he said, have a nice day, a pleasant one. And he turns around, he said to the driver, "Okay, now we can go." And the driver, he biting his fingers, he said, "Makapo, what happened?" So his stomach is turning upside down. He said, "Well, that's why he brought me over here to tell his wife, where can he go already? To a second again." Every morning he's going to the yeshiva. So one day he didn't say. What's the big deal? His wife knows where he is, right? Finally, they get into the car. He sits in the back, and the driver, he couldn't hold himself. He said, "Arav, can I ask you a question?" He said, "By all means, you can ask me any question you want." So he said, "Okay, ask me. I said, "Why do you have to go upstairs half an hour? I'm coaching you can't breathe." He said, "Pick up the phone, at least, tell her, I forgot to tell you I'm going to the yeshiva." So the Rosh Yeshiva said, "Very good question." He said, "Tell me something. When you eat, are you eating through the phone?" "How many kids you have?" He told him, "I have 4 kids." Did you make him through the phone? Or it was or you were there physically? Huh? It's my phone. It's a phone. She needs to see you. She needs to see that she is so important. Now she gonna think at home, my husband misken הזה went 20 minutes upstairs just to tell me, I'm sorry I didn't let you know that I'm going to the yeshiva. Now does she have a doubt that she is number one?
He scored big.
Very big.
This is after 30, 40 years of marriage.
Yeah. Yes. That she knows him already by heart already. Is that you never take things for granted. Klum. And if the parents are smart also, the parents, when your child comes in and say, Ima, I love your Gosh Gija, let me have some. Ima says, Ibi John, Anna. Right away, she prepared him kara, a goodie bag. Yeah? And she said, Anna, and she feels good, and he feels good. His wife wants to kill him, both of them she wants to kill him. Why? How dare you taking your Gija from your mother, meaning mine are no good. You liar.
I didn't understand. He takes Gosh Gija from his mom
Yeah.
and she doesn't like it?
No.
Oh.
Chas v'shalom, don't do that. Because right away the computer over here says his mother, right, is more important than I am.
He's married and he's taking from his
Of
mom.
course, of course. Ima says, I did it. Now it's your wife's turn. I'm not going to give you even one. Ima, just give me one guy. כלום. לך מפה.
It's a smart man.
Yes.
Very smart man.
My kids, they coming from time to time. אמא, איפה חלות, איפה שלפק, איפה נונסיר וזה וזה. Your wife? Summer. No, but you want to still feel
Out.
only Abba. I have the obligation. Your obligation, finish. Go to your wife, and זהו, שלום ישראל, שם תוכל. פה אין כלום. My kids coming מסכנים, אמא, רחמנות, one, his wife is Ashkenaz, and one, his wife is, זה הוא רוצה משהו from his childhood. My mother said, my wife said, כלום. I'm not going to be, don't put me in a bad spot with your wife. I want to stay friend with her.